Hello, it has been some time. This week has been a little crazy for me. My wife is about this close to giving birth to our daughter, so it's pretty hectic around here. The 2-year-old, 2 jobs, a business, and YouTube. So yeah, I've been editing, getting things ready. So in the near future, if I suddenly disappear, there'll still be videos going. I'm a busy little bee that doesn't sleep. So anyway, today we're talking about exactly what you read, Volo's Guide to Monsters. But what are we talking about in Volo's Guide to Monsters? Playable races. I love the adding of new things when it fits, and I feel like the new races. When I say new, I mean like new, like I don't even know when this was released. I mean, how bad am I? It was like what, like a year, 2 years ago. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that when they release new monsters, new things, it's always fun. This has a bunch of new monsters, and you got to check it out. If you don't have it, I suggest you own it. Even if you're not a DM, maybe an aspiring DM, because I find that looking up things on online is fun and all, but the actual physical copy of a book makes you so much happier. Anyway, so today I'm going to be talking about the Playable Races, and you can find this on page 103 of Volo's Guide to Monsters. Now there's a new book coming out soon with new playable races that D&D Beyond has just announced. That is, I forget the name of it, but I believe it starts with an M. Volos has given me a new love for hobgoblins. I absolutely adore them. Right? Okay, I will go over this in another time. Aiden, you're so right. They have this whole section at the beginning of all the monsters. I created this campaign that we're running right now based off of this because of the Yuan-Ti. They're like, I never cared for them before. I thought they were stupid, honestly. Yep, Mordekainen's Tome of Foes. I'm super excited for that one. I hope I pronounced that right. I never know. But I based my whole game with what they have in that. And I want orcs. I did a one-off with orcs with my people, and they were all orcs, and it was a lot of fun. They tell you how to roleplay them. Very, very cool. Very cool read. Even if you're not so much interested in being a DM, it's fun to know lore and really get behind your characters, especially if you're one of these new guys. So they introduced some new ones, and if you've gotten into it, it's really awesome. So the Aasimar, or Aasimar, I'm not sure which people say because it's Aasimar, but they're humanoids, they're angelic, and they have like an angelic spark in them. It says spark in their souls, which grants them supernatural power. Two of my players are Aasimar. They are amazing. Some people can overplay them, but my guys seem to have a handle on it. They've got a nice yin and yang to them, and I think that's important when you're playing one is to understand your position in the world. They're basically controlled. I want to say controlled. They have a deva or a diva. Deva. It's like EVA. I think it's deva. But they have a deva that is like an angel that will communicate to them on occasion and give them guidance. So it's almost like a divination spell, but as a companion, like a visage every now and then. And it's nice to have that role playing aspect, especially as a DM. When someone's an Aasimar in your group, it's a lot of fun because you're able to gather. They're on this road, and say, for instance, they are going into an area that, as a DM, you may not want them to go into. But you don't want to like lead them as a DM. But this is a good way for you to be able to tell them, like a warning and make it this like prophecy type thing. Don't make it outright like don't go that way, you'll die. But as a DM, it's fun because you're able to take it and say, hey, you show them a vision rather than like someone coming up and saying don't go that way. You show them a vision of like some skull like in some like poison or something. Make something up. It's a lot of fun. Aasimar are great. Furbolgs, I haven't done anything with them yet, but they're awesome. So furbolgs are forest guardians who prefer peaceful methods to protect their homes, but take up arms must. Okay, so furbolgs I feel like could fit really well with a class in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Anyone have any hints on that one? I feel like the Celestial Warlock would be really cool with this one with a furbolg. I feel like also any druid, of course, that comes with it. But I feel like there's a lot you could do with the new classes in Xanathar's because I feel like they were leading up to that with furbolgs. They're like giant type creatures. I believe they're classified as a giant type. So you adopt elven names when they must deal with outsiders, though the concept of name strikes them as strange. Let's see, they know animals and plants of the forest without formal names, instead identify them, um, wow, as strange. Okay, they identify them as like forest children, things like that. So they could be very good druids. I haven't used one yet, but I've read all about them. I didn't remember that line. All right, Goliaths. They're hulking. I mean, Goliath is a good name for them anyway. Are hulking wanderers who dwell at the highest mountains and reaches. So let me show you first the awesome art. Let me make sure you get your pictures right. So there's probably a protector R. Let me find that right there. I have a Furbolg Oath of the Ancients Paladin as a backing for my orc fighter. Nice. How's that working out? How do you roleplay a Furbolg? Because I know they're like very silent. To me, I feel like they'd speak like Ents, or they're just very from Lord of the Rings series. I feel like they're kind of slow, but also it doesn't say that they're stupid. It just means that they're more simple. They wouldn't probably talk the way we talk about things. Have I think of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? Where it just things are kind of lost on him. All right, so Goliaths here, as I was talking about. This is their picture of a Goliath, and I think it's a very nice picture. And a lot of people use them as barbarians, mostly based off of Critical Role's Grog. And yeah, he was a Goliath barbarian, and I feel like that's a really good anything that's warrior based because their strength is tremendous because they are descendants of giants, and I mean they're like 7 feet tall. They walk into a room everyone knows. Basically, it says as the highest mountain peaks far above the slopes where trees grow and where the air is thin and frigid, wind howls, dwells a reclusive Goliath. For few folk can claim to have seen a Goliath, and fewer still can claim friendship with one. So to have one in your group, I feel like it would create good role play because they're so elusive and barbaric. They have these tribes that just wipe out entire areas. Most of them keep to themselves unless they're raiders. I think that would be a good one, but then you could put any class with it. I feel like people limit themselves with tropes. They'll say, oh, well, he's strong, so he's got to be a fighter. You could have a strong wizard. I mean, really, like, think of something more interesting. At least I would recommend. Kenku. We know them from the Monster Manual. Kenku are these guys. We've seen them before. It reminds me of Secret of Nim. Did anyone ever see that? Alright, so they are helpless plagiarists. They're ideal minions, and they don't speak. They speak in mimicry. And if you don't know what mimicry is, it's, say you're walking through with your Kenku, and he's just traveling behind. They make great rogues because of their ability to mimic. It's hence their ability to speak. They can't speak common. They can't speak any language except kind of like a bird sound. Like how parrots will mimic people and different sounds? This is what mimicry is that they're not necessarily speaking. They'll use sounds and sometimes words on occasion. And I created a Kenku for my orc one-off, my orc campaign one-off, and it was awesome. He was this henchman that was taught and tortured by a warlock, kind of like a necromancer, for years as a minion. The necromancer was killed, and so this Kenku, this bird-like creature, set out on its own because if they don't have someone to follow, they feel like it says here. I love what it says about them right here. They have their ancient curses that they can't fly, and they want to fly. It says right here, dreams of flight. Above all else, Kenku wished to regain their ability to fly. It says, despite their lack of wings, Kenku love dwelling in towers and tall structures. So they're always looking for some wizard tower, someone to serve, someone that's the head. I forget what they call them. It's gonna bother me, but I know it's a flock. They're looking for like a leader of the flock, and if they don't have one, they'll just latch onto a group. So I feel like they could really easily, rather than you all meet in a tavern and then some guy walks in and says, hey, do you want to go to quest? And 5 of you raise your hands and you're all friends forever. A Kenku would be wandering on the road alone, scared and kind of a thief, and show up and speak strangely and in garbled words and phrases that it knows, and most of it would be sounds. And some of it says right here, even be careful with Kenku, because it says if you're role-playing a Kenku, it's a pink box. It's scary. which is a pink box, you know they're serious. It says if you're playing a Kenku, constant attempts to mimic noises can come off or come across as confusing, irritating, rather than entertaining. So don't be crazy with a Kenku, but I feel like you could really make it interesting. Their names, by the way, are basic sounds. They're not exactly like snapper, rat scratch, things like that, where it's just really odd, you know. And when they're talking, you'll see the like when they're talking about being bored, maybe they'll make a clock sound, or you know what I mean. It can be interesting and funny to the group, but be careful with it. All right, the next one is lizard folk. We've seen these guys before, right? I mean, Out of the Abyss has a that's not true. Was he in there? Anyway, there was a lizard folk. I don't remember which book it was, but I really liked him a lot. They're cold and calculating. They make great tribesmen. It doesn't matter if they're shaman. They could be magic users. They could be whatever you want them to be. But I like lizard folk because they feel bad for humanoids. Anyone that's any type of humanoid, they feel like they're just weak and almost verging on pity. They're born without lacking stout scales or sharp teeth. It's a wonder they have managed for so long. That's what they think about humans or anything. They're just like, they don't have any natural armor. They don't have any sharp teeth or claws to fight with. Poor humans. Anyway, they're interesting. I feel like they can really be interesting in group. I had a lizard folk come along in the prison escape in our campaign, and he was interesting. He kind of stole the spotlight a few times because he wanted to eat the dead, and he didn't want any of the armor or weapons. He was fashioning his own out of a bone, and I'm not gonna say where he got it. He was an interesting guy, and he may show up again. But I really think that they can be a fun, and I really want to try one sometime. I've always stick to humans. I have never been anything other than a human or half elf. I know. Well, I don't play much, mind you. I DM a lot, so yeah. All right, next one, tabaxi. Do you know what that is? It's a cat folk. It's a little kitty cat. Excellent rogues, bards, things of that nature. They've got feline agility, cat claws, cat talents, and I feel like I've never heard of someone playing one. Which, if you do, please let me know and what class you do, because it would be interesting to know if you stuck to kind of a more he's a cat that slinks in and out of areas, which I feel like it could naturally. If you've seen a cat move, which most of us have, unless you're strange and you don't ever hang around cats, you might see how quick and agile they are and how far they can jump. I feel like that'd be really interesting as an assassin, like a cat that, like I can picture like all black, like panther-looking cat that can, just really get in and get out of an area. Besides, cats are ruthless and demons. I happen to like cats quite a bit. I've had a couple cats in my day, but every cat I've had was actually crazy and very violent. So they'll just jump out of nowhere and attack you. So I feel like they'd be great assassins. All right, next, and I think last, at least, I'll talk to that about in a second. The next one is a Triton, which you can guess what that is. It's an aquatic crusader. These guys also would be interested in playing one of these. If you do, let me know, because they're ambassadors of the sea. But have you ever played a sea campaign? I feel like they'd be really out of place unless you had a lake or a stream nearby, and then they'd be just sitting in there the whole time. It's like Merman, but more cool? I don't know. I mean, the new stuff, I'm not even going to go there, but I feel like it'd be really hard to play one because, I mean, they do have some perks, like a water wall, wall of water. They can cast it 60 feet. It's a huge wall of water that just knocks people down and takes 15 points of damage. Okay, they can be cool, but I feel like, how would you fit them into a campaign? I would have to really struggle to get them, because most of my stuff's on land. Unless you're doing like a pirate-themed, or at least you were traveling a lot between places that had water. I mean, I feel like that might work. But it's hard for me to imagine how a Triton would fit in. Not that I'm saying it's dumb, I'm just saying I don't know how to use it yet. But, I always put different races in from different editions to see what happens. Alright, finally, Monstrous Adventures. They created a lot of ones that I wanted to see. For instance, Bugbear, Hobgoblin, Kobold, Goblin, Yonti, and Orc. They give you their traits, their characteristics, their alignments, all the fun stuff. Now, as a DM and as a player, I feel like alignment is hindering. Some people swear by it and say it's the best thing that's ever happened. I say it can be great as a guideline, but it can be very constricting because human nature, it doesn't happen. We're so flip-flop. We really are. I will be happy as a clam 1 minute, and then I'll go outside and get in my car, and I'll turn into chaotic neutral really quick. Even chaotic evil, depending if I want to just run someone off the road, which I'm pretty good at not. Sorry, this is falling over because I don't have an extender today. Yeah, and I feel like alignment that's a totally different subject, but I feel like alignment can be very limiting. So when you're creating one of these where they're just let's say an orc, like everyone, if you're playing a half orc, that's fun. I feel like half orcs would be rare because humans and orcs mixing, it feels like it wouldn't, because orcs are naturally evil. I don't know. And so like certain races, I feel like you just be an orc. If you played Skyrim or any of the Elder Scrolls, they were just straight orcs. You know, that most of them were menacing, intimidating, but also powerful build, 230, 280 pounds. Imagine playing an orc and playing like a knight. Can you imagine just the amount of tanking that person could do? I mean, I don't want to give something away, but the Yuan-Ti purebloods are probably my favorite of the monsters that they created into like a playable race, because the purebloods aren't necessarily the like villains of the story. They're kind of the background conniving ones that have everyone feels like they may be useless, but they show up and they're able to make their way in and sneak in. They can talk to snakes. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that Yuan-Ti really enjoyed that in Volos, and I do recommend getting the book. Yeah, of course, it's the guide there, so there's a whole section on new monsters. I feel like it should have been bigger. I was kind of disappointed. I mean, I loved it. I was just kind of disappointed it wasn't longer. That was my only thing. Anyway, I'm excited for the next book coming out. It says it comes out in May, so I'm going to get it and I'm going to review the crap out of it and read it like crazy because that's what I do a lot. I'm going to now work on some editing and I will see you all later. Oh, we might do D&D tonight. I'm not sure. Yeah, you'll see it pop up if it's live. Otherwise, it'll show up tomorrow. So anyway, may your rules always be natural ones. Thank you for joining, and I will have a fantastic day myself. So you do too. Bye. Bye. See ya.